What's up, YouTube? This is Woe Echo. I'm Parker, and I'm here once again for the Raw Rundown, where, of course, I go through Raw for the week, and I give the parts that I enjoyed an up, and I give the parts that I did not enjoy a down. This week is February the 5th of 2018, and we actually start off Raw this week a little different. We don't have an authority promo. We have two promos between the members that are involved in the very first match, Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns. Bray Wyatt has his little promo that's basically the same as everything ever, and then Roman gives a promo and basically just repeats what Bray says, like, "Oh, you said this about me. Well, you're wrong because this." And while it was nice to have something different, I wasn't a huge fan of the promos. Bray Wyatt promos are just not exciting anymore for me. And then Roman's was a little like it wasn't. It was better than Bray's, but it was a little just felt scripted. So I'm giving it a down to the promos, but it was a nice change of pace, I guess. Next, we of course had the match between Reigns and Wyatt, and I wouldn't have went with this match because we've seen this matchup like 50,000 and a half times throughout the last few years, and I mean, it was still good, and I'm giving it an up, but it just wasn't anything really special because they've just fought so many times. After the match, where Reigns did win, and of course we knew he was going to win. This was, of course, a qualifying match for Elimination Chamber. We knew, of course, that Reigns was going to win because he's supposed to win the whole thing. And so after Reigns wins, he walks away. Woken Matt Hardy appears behind, or doesn't really appear, but he slides in the ring behind Wyatt. And the whole thing is just not entertaining anymore. I knew when they started the program, I knew that they were going to screw it up. I knew it, and they have, in my opinion. Like they'll have to do something really really special for me to get into it and say that this was a successful rivalry. Because right now I don't think so. Now, of course, there are the rumors um, that either at Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania, there's going to be a thing where the audience watches stuff that happens at the Wyatt compound, the not the Wyatt compound, the Hardy compound. That is Matt Hardy's home that he owns and was used in a lot of stuff when he was in Impact. So there is that rumor that's not been confirmed, but we've seen evidence of that on like Hardy's Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. But that could be okay, but I don't know. I'm just not excited, and so I'm giving the fact that Matt just all he did was come up and give a twist of fate, and that's literally it. That's all he did, and then he did some delete moves. I don't know. That was all, and so I'm giving that a down. Sorry, Matt. Next up, we had it was going to be Finn Balor up against one of the Revival. I believe it was Dash Wilder. I honestly can't remember. I can't tell the two apart. I don't know. But they get on the mic and they're like, "Why don't you make this a handicap match and you can pick either one of your Balor Club members, Gallows and Anderson, to team with you?" So Balor accepts, which to me is kind of dumb because these two are obviously best as a tag team. So I wouldn't have done this, but it ended up working out, I guess. So Finn chooses Carl Anderson, and so it becomes a tag match. Finn Balor and Carl Anderson versus the Revival, and the Revival won. I'm gosh, stupid. Um, the Revival lost. The Balor Club won, which I just think was a mistake. I think it was a mistake putting these two together, these two teams, because both groups really need wins. Both groups really, really badly need to get momentum, uh, and I think it's a mistake to put two teams that are in that spot against each other because one's going to look bad, um, and it does look really bad for the Revival because they even said, "Hey, let's do a tag team match," and that's supposed to be their wheelhouse. and they still lose. And that's just really sad. It really is. So I'm giving it a down. Even though the match was pretty good, I have to give it a down just because that was so bad. Next up, we had actually a backstage segment. It started off with Sasha Banks watching footage from her last week's bout against Asuka, and it's told to us that she's been obsessing over it and she's been watching it over and over again. And Bailey comes in, and they go back and forth, and it was enjoyable because Bailey was it was confirmed that Bailey is facing Asuka tonight. Um, and Bailey was like, "I'm gonna beat Asuka," and all this, and Sasha was like, "You can't beat Asuka, and only I'm the only one good enough to beat Asuka." And Bailey was like, "Well, I've beaten you, so if you're good enough to beat Asuka, then I'm good enough to beat Asuka," which was cool. I like that, and there was the back and forth between them, and honestly, like we've been calling it for a long time that uh, that one of them would turn heel on the other, most likely Sasha. But with this, I really liked it because you could see it going either way, and I liked the teasing. It was fun. It was good. So I'm giving it an up. Next up was a great segment. It was really awesome. So Kurt Angle comes out and he is announcing who is all in the first ever women's elimination chamber match. It was announced that it was um, Bailey, Sasha Banks, Mickey James, which was surprising because we had these rumors that it would actually be Nia Jax instead of Mickey James, and then Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, and that Nia Jax was actually going to face Asuka at Elimination Chamber, not in the Elimination Chamber match, but at the pay per view. And if Nia Jax wins, she will be inserted into the match, into the championship match, and making it a triple threat with whatever champion Asuka decides to go with. Now, obviously, it's unlikely that Nia's going to win, but it's interesting. Um, and then um, Alexa Bliss comes out, and she's very unhappy. And you remember last week where I was talking about that I thought it was really dumb that in the women's match the championships on the line, while in the men's elimination chamber match, it's for the number one contendership for the championship. And that was what Alexa came out to talk about. And she thought it was unfair that she's having to defend her championship in the elimination chamber match, but Brock Lesnar is not having to because the both championships, both genders are supposed to be treated equally. And I just loved it because I was like, why haven't they not said anything about this? I just think it's really dumb. And Alexa Bliss did. She looked very attractive, I have to say, tonight as well. So that's definitely a part of the love that I had for the segment. But I just thought it was really great how Alexa was, and it kind of left Angle a little baffled. It did end kind of stupidly because Angle was like, "Well, let's leave it up to the WWE Universe. So yell if you want Alexa to defend her title." And so, of course, they yelled because they always do when you talk to them. And so it was dumb. I think obviously because of the whole equality thing, you should have also said cheer if you want Brock to uh, go to defend his championship in there too, but he didn't do that. But I really enjoyed this segment. It was really good. Alexa was amazing in it, especially, and so that's getting it up. Next up, we had so dumb. It's so dumb. They for some reason WWE's really gotten into this huge crave of loving like phone like selfie video promos. They've been doing a lot the last couple of weeks, especially leading up to the Royal Rumble. But this week, John Cena was so stupid. He like was walking up a hallway and then he walked backwards, still talking. It was so stupid. What he was saying was dumb too, and I'm just like I don't understand this whole thing, and it's really stupid, really annoying. I hope that they stop it because while it was interesting at first because it was something different, when you make every single person do the exact same, it no longer becomes special, and so it's getting it down. Next up, we did have the match between Asuka and Bailey. Asuka did win, obviously. The match was nowhere near as good, in my opinion, as the match last week that Asuka had, but it was still pretty good, and so I'm giving it an up. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to fully enjoy the match and watch the match because at the time, during that moment, my roommate's dog decided to throw up, and so I had to clean that up. And so my roommate's dog, whose name is Finn, is getting a special down here on the Raw Rundown because he was really annoying me because of that. Obviously, not his fault. He was feeling really sick. So, but it was like I'm trying to watch wrestling, and you're throwing up, and I got to clean up your throw up. So Finn's getting it down. um, Next up, The Miz came out for his match that he had to try and qualify for the Elimination Chamber match, and he cut a promo before the match, and it was great. It was fantastic. One of the best lines I thought was where he said that the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, of course, the night before the Super Bowl, and that the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles showed his match against Roman Reigns where he won the championship back, showed it to his team to get them pumped and excited, which caused them to win the Super Bowl. I just thought it was hilarious. It was great. The Miz is awesome, great talker, so he's getting an up for that. And then we had the match for the qualification of the Elimination Chamber match. It was The Miz up against Apollo Crews, and it was a solid enough match. Nothing super interesting really happened, but a good match. Apollo looked pretty good, and Miz looked great, and so it's getting it up, but not a lot that to really say. Next up, we had earlier in the night, it was established that Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan, were going to get their rematch for the titles against the Bar. So Rollins is coming to find Jason Jordan because they're about to head out there, but Jason Jordan is being looked at by a medical person, and it's Seth is told that Jason's not going to be able to compete. He thought he'd be able to, but he was feeling when he was like warming up. Apparently, he was feeling some pain in his neck. So Seth is obviously very upset that he's not because Kurt Angle was like, well, maybe we won't be able to do the rematch. But then Roman Reigns steps up and well, he doesn't say anything, but he basically volunteers himself to be Seth's partner, and I instantly got hyped. I was like, "Yeah, I want it so bad," and that was great. But so Kurt approves it, and they said okay. He said okay, and then Jason's just like, "Yeah," he's like smiling and nodding and just grinning. I'm just like, Jason Jordan, you are the stupidest man in the world. You're getting it down because you're so stupid. Why would you be happy that somebody is taking your place in your contractual rematch just because you're injured? You should be pissed off about that. You should be so mad. You should be irate. You should be like, that should not be allowed. I'm a part of this match. I was my championship. I lost, not his. He shouldn't be in my rematch. But he was just grinning and happy about it. So he's getting it down because he's stupid. So we did have the match right up after that. It was Sheamus and Cesaro up against Rollins and Reigns, and it was a great match. It was fantastic. The crowd was super into it because we were in Iowa, very close to Seth Rollins' hometown, and so the crowd was super into it. They were looking really good. It looked like they were going to actually win, and so the match is getting it up. Unfortunately, Jason Jordan came out because of course he did. Of course he did. And there was a part where Sheamus and Cesaro, I guess they felt like that they were on the losing side of things, so they decided to grab their championships and try and run away. But so Jason Jordan tried to put himself in the Bar's way so they couldn't escape, which I understand. I think that's kind of noble, trying to not allow them to get the count out victor or count out loss, which would keep them the titles. But Cesaro takes a hit at Jordan, and so Jordan retaliates, hitting Sheamus and Cesaro, and which of course causes a DQ. And that is stupid. Jason Jordan is the worst. He's so dumb. I hate him so much. So I was so pumped. I was so excited about the thought of Rollins and Reigns being tag champions. I figured I was like they're probably not going to do it, but I got into it, and hey, that only happens every so often, especially on the main roster. So I was very very mad when Jordan caused them to lose the match, and so Jordan's getting it down. But that match was fantastic up until that point. Um, Next up, we had Nia Jax versus some local jobber. Down. It's while this was okay 2 years ago when Nia Jax was getting very first introduced on the main roster, and this is what they were doing. That was okay back then, but now she's been on the main roster. She's been in championship matches. She's done stuff. There's no reason that she should be fighting a local jobber. It was stupid. It lasted like 2 minutes tops, and of course she won. And it was just stupid. So no, I don't like it at all. It's getting it down. Next up, we had another women's match. This time, Mickie James up against Sonya Deville, and this match was really good. It was really hard hitting from the very start, and Mickie actually looked really, really good, which I was surprised. And she got a lot of offense in, and so the match was really good. I was disappointed in the ending of it, which almost made me want to give it a down, but I decided not to because I felt like the match before that was good enough to not give it down. But it was just it was a roll up win for Mickie James. I was surprised that Mickie won the match. Um, but the match itself was getting up. I really enjoyed it. It was really, really good. One of the best women's matches in a while. Obviously not compared to Oscar versus Banks, but still really good. After that, Deville and Mandy Rose started attacking Mickie James because they were angry that they lost. And who would come out to save Mickie James? None other than Alexa Bliss. This was very, very surprising. If I had to guess, I would say that Bliss only did this with the hopes of getting an ally in the Elimination Chamber match. That's what I would assume is what her plan was when doing that. But it was interesting. So we'll see if that's what happens and how things go from there. Next up, it was announced that that four of the five losers from in the qualifying matches would get to be a part of a fatal four way to have the chance at the last spot, which I thought was a great idea. So it's Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt, Woken Matt Hardy, and Apollo Crews are going to be in a fatal four way next week. And the winner will be the last member of the Elimination Chamber match. I thought this was a great idea. I thought it was really good. And I'm hoping upon hopes that Balor's going to win it. I can't see Crews winning it. That would just be stupid to me. And then I'm assuming that Wyatt and Hardy are going to knock each other out of the match like they did at the Royal Rumble, which will allow Balor to win. I'm hoping. We'll see next week on the Royal Rumble if that happens. But I thought this was great. And I like when they announce matches for the next week because it gets you hyped for the next week. And they don't do that enough, I think, on the main roster. So let's get it up. And our main event for the night was the triple threat match between the three men that had already qualified for the Elimination Chamber match before that night. It was Elias, John Cena, and Braun Strowman. And the reason why they had this match and the incentive for winning was that the person who would win would guaranteed be the last person to enter the Elimination Chamber match, which of course gives you an incredible advantage because you are the freshest man in the match and you're the most likely to have the chance to come out with a victory. So, a pretty big stipulation with a lot on the line. It wasn't a great match. There were some dumb things. I thought it was dumb that Elias and John Cena teamed up for a lot of the match to take out Braun. I mean, it makes sense because he's the big dude, but with the rivalry that Cena and Elias have had the last month or so, I'm surprised by it. But of course, as soon as Braun was out, they turned on each other. And the ending was interesting. Not super happy with it because Braun Strowman he hit John Cena with a power slam, but then Elias came and kicked Strowman out of the ring, which to me looked a little too unnatural. Like it just didn't seem like that the amount of force that Elias put on with the kick would have sent a man of Strowman's size out of the ring like that. But yeah, it's what we got, so I can't. I guess it's whatever. And then so Elias did take the he did pin John Cena, even though Strowman was the one that took him out, making Elias the winner, which to me was probably the right call. I assumed that Elias would win because he's the heel in the situation. He would uh, worm his way into the best scenario for him. So I'm not surprised by the fact, and it was good enough to warm it up. Not definitely not the best match though, and a little shaky on some instances, but it's getting it up. And while the ups and downs this week were very back and forth, I felt, and it was very close call. But the ups do edge out slightly the downs. Not a bad episode of Raw. Not like obviously not a great episode. There was some good stuff in there. Um, but of course we're on the road to Elimination Chamber, and so it's kind of what everything's kind of setting up for. But I'm excited for Elimination Chamber. I think it's gonna be cool to see everything that happens. If you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button. Very much appreciated. And comment below what you thought of Raw. If you agree with me, if you disagree, that's fine. Just we'd love to hear your thoughts about everything. And then last but not least, if you do not want to miss any of our content that we put out, then please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you don't miss a single video. Um, but with that, I'm going to get on out of here, and I will see you all very, very soon. I've been Parker from Wawa Echo. Peace.